Welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss, episode 17. Today I'm sitting down with an old friend of mine who actually used to be my boss back when I worked for the Country Music Association. He's worked alongside Garth Brooks and Scotty McCreery. He's an amazing artist manager and one of the nicest guys you can meet in the music business. Please welcome my friend, Scott Stem.
All
Welcome
right.
to After School with Mr. Van Huss. My guest today, Mr. Scott Stem. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. For all my students that may be watching this, Scott and I go way, way back a couple of years. You're the second person I've had on here from my CMA days because I actually talked to Christy Wilson a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, how fun.
And so I've tried to get a few of you guys, and I may not be done with that yet because I was lucky enough to work alongside so many people that had such great experience and great insight. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk to me for a few minutes.
Oh, anytime, man. I'm always happy to.
Now, for anybody who may not be familiar with Scott Stem, tell me a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, I currently I manage Scotty McCreery, who won American Idol back in 2011 and has gone on to build a pretty good, strong country music career. So I've been with Scotty for 10 years this coming September. Started as his publicist and became his manager. So that's my current claim to fame. But I spent 10 years at CMA where I got to work with you, which was fantastic. And before that, I cut my teeth working with Garth Brooks when he was recording his first album and worked with him for about 12 years. So there's a few other things in between, but those are kind of a few of the highlights.
Now, you had a really, really neat full circle career moment. I think it was back in December where your former boss got to induct your current boss.
That was one of the biggest things that happened to me, and it wasn't even my moment. But in the last few years, it was Scotty has been wanting to be a member of the Opry since before he even got on Idol. It was just that was a thing for him. And Garth was one of his favorite musical people of all time. And so when I was working with the opera and how could we surprise Scotty with this invitation, I was like, Garth, it's got to be Garth. So I called Garth back in May. We did the announcement in December, and I called him back in May. And I'm like, I don't know if you'd happen to be in town, but if you would, I can't tell you what this would mean. And he was like, I can be in town, and I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. So it was great just to kind of see probably the two men in my career that have had the most impact on me together. It was really cool.
Well, that was super cool. I know when I saw the replay of it, when I saw it on your social media and stuff, I was like, oh, what a great moment. And just what
Yep.
a cool full circle moment for you to have all that come together and stuff. So I was happy for all of you guys and for everybody involved. And
Oh, thank you very much.
obviously Scotty was so deserving. He's helped me out with random projects in my class a number of times, and I have a great deal of respect for him also. So it was cool.
Oh,
Very,
well,
very
thank you, man.
cool.
We're excited. The induction's coming up in a couple of months, so he'll be official soon. We can't wait.
Awesome. So what influenced you to do what you do? What made you want to work in the music business?
You know, I've always loved music. Even as a little kid, I've always loved music. I learned to play piano. I was in all the choirs at church. It was music was kind of just a common thread in my life. And as a little kid, I would put on shows first for my mother on snow days with albums. I'd lip sync or sing along, and then out on the deck with friends in the neighborhood or whatever. And it wasn't like I was really any good, but it was just something in me that music was my thing. And as I got older, I realized I couldn't sing. So that was probably not going to be the way to do it, but I was intrigued by the behind the scenes. And so I heard about Belmont and they had this music business program. And I was like, that's where I'm going. And my parents took me to all sorts of colleges trying to get me to go different places. And I'm like, I'll go visit them, but I'm going to Belmont to do this program. And that's where I went. And I learned about publicity. And I thought I can do that. I can talk music all day long. I can talk about what I like and bring out what are the artist's strengths. And through internships and meeting the right people and luck at times, started my way.
Very cool. Before you got into your field of work and before you got into music, like who are your heroes in that field? I can probably name one of them that I remember from us working together. I'll see
As
what your answer is.
well, as far as like artists that like there were heroes of mine, the Beatles, Paul McCartney solo, especially with the Beatles, Tina Turner, and believe it or not, Cher are like huge heroes of. Is that the one you were
I would have
thinking?
got that one.
And then on the business side, I became aware of the Beatles manager Brian Epstein in my junior high days, reading about them and realizing, oh my gosh, they didn't just happen on their own. There was somebody that worked with them and helped kind of make this happen. So he was a huge influence of mine as far as I want to be somebody like that. And then learning about Roger Davies, who managed Tina Turner's comeback when I was in high school, that was another one that I was like, I want to be like that.
Very cool. So, what was high school like for you? Did you know what you wanted to do at that point?
I knew I wanted to be in music. I had no idea exactly what, but I knew I wanted to be in music. And I was honestly that introverted kid in high school. I was book smart but socially awkward. And music is kind of what connected me. I was in the band and I was in chorus, and that's where I made my friends, and that's where my confidence grew, and that's where I really started to know myself. And music kind of brought me out of my shell, which was a great thing. So I kind of went from that introverted kid at the beginning of high school to kind of having a decent sense of myself by the end of it.
Very cool. And you said you went to Belmont for further education, right? And did the whole
I
music
did.
business program. I've
I
talked to a
did.
few people who spent some time at either Belmont or MTSU, and those are always such good avenues to like get into it and everything. I know MTSU is what first gave me my chance to get in touch with people at CMA and things like that also. So it's
Yeah.
great stepping stones. Did you have a favorite teacher in high school or a mentor along the way that kind of helped you along?
I had a couple of favorite teachers. Actually, my favorite teacher of all time was in elementary school. His name was Mr. Doyle, and he was the first male teacher that I had. And he encouraged me to write. And so I would write stories and read them to the class once every month, usually adventure stories or whatever like that. And that really kind of instilled in me a love of writing that helped me with press releases, that helped me with bios, that helped me with things that I did as I got older. And then in high school, I had a teacher, Miss McCormick, that was all about reading. She was our literature teacher, and she was all about reading and all about not just reading what you liked, but broadening your horizons and learning the different aspects of the world. And I realized that she was really teaching us far more than literature. She was teaching us about life. So she was one who was a huge one for me as well.
Very, very cool. So you've got the ear of high school kids, okay? What's one life lesson that you would pass on to high school students today?
Hi. Um, I think one of them is I can remember being in high school and it was like, oh, I've got to act this way and I've got to be this person and I've got to, if I want to be friends with so and so or if I want to do this, I think relax and be who you are. You're good enough on your own. Be who you are, discover what makes you you and be you. Stand up for yourself. I think that was probably the biggest lesson I could have used in ninth or 10th grade, especially going into high school, is just be who you are. You are good enough on your own.
Very cool. I appreciate your answers, and you had a lot of good ones there. I wanted to make sure I got you on my little show here that I've been doing because the whole thought behind this project is to get people in front of like my students and any students out there that have found success in doing things that they love, and just hopefully they can give them advice on how they take that next step and everything. And you were somebody for me who taught me a lot of valuable lessons when I was younger.
Oh,
I
thank
wanted to
you.
share that with some people. And along the way, you taught me some I didn't want to learn along the way. But that was okay because it made me who I am. And you were a great mentor to me back then and have turned into a good friend as time has gone along. And I've developed so much respect for you, and I've just really appreciated your friendship as my life has gone along and everything like that. So you were one of the people I really wanted to get on here just for some of those reasons.
Oh, that means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. I have loved watching you develop, and I've loved watching everything and hearing from you when we talk and stuff about your love for students and the way that you invigorate history. And I love watching your pep rallies. Those are always a lot of fun. And I feel like you have just been amazing at what you're doing. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Those pep rallies are like my one chance to like pretend I'm Bruce Springsteen, so I just get out there and just go crazy. And
You got to. Somebody's got to do it. You might as well be you.
I know I always dreamed growing up of like being in front of a crowd and hearing that and stuff. And I never, when we first met when I was at CMA, I never in a million years would have dreamed that this is my crowd. That a pep rally or a classroom was where I would do some of that stuff. But that's how life works out sometimes, and it's worked out great.
You know, it has worked out great. When I do watch you on the pep rallies or stuff, though, I see elements of when you and Aaron Hartley used to do those videos at CMA or whatever like that. I'm like, okay, I see where this all happens.
See, that went way, way back.
Exactly. Exactly.
I still have I have a few like pictures around my classroom of like me and just people I've met like over the years and stuff. And I still have the picture of you and me and Jamie Downing from CMA standing with Kenny Chesney and Phil Vassar.
Oh
Where
my gosh.
we rode the bus over to Cape Girardeau, Missouri that
We
time
did.
with their label and saw that show and everything. So it was some good memories.
That was a fun trip. That was I my daughter lives in Springfield, Missouri now, so we have to kind of go through the little elbow that gets you up there. And every time I go through there, I think about that trip. That was a great
Yeah,
trip.
that was a good one. Well, Scott, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to me today, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure my students will greatly appreciate this also, and I appreciate your advice.
Well, I was honored. Thank you so much for asking me to do it. I was happy to do it anytime.
Well, no problem. Thank you for staying after school with Mr. Van Huss.